Welcome to Serial Podcast 9.
Hi, I'm Kevin Peterson.
And I'm Gerard DiPeralta.
And I'm Ryan Benoit, and this is Serial Podcast 9, episode 10.
Today we have a guest. His name is Eric Weber, also known as Wayfarers87.
Eric's actually going to serve as our resident truck expert.
Yeah, I guess you can call me that, maybe.
I feel like you have the nicest truck out of anyone I know. And that doesn't, I'm not saying that says a lot, but I mean,
You've also had like more trucks than anybody I know.
One could say that, yeah.
One could say that. Yeah.
Yeah.
the facts would say yes.
Yeah.
I guess because this episode is going to be called When Car Guys Get Trucks. Eric's been trucking for the longest out of all of us, that's for sure.
Before we go any
same.
further, you guys, I think we should clarify. We are not talking about like dualies or like pickup trucks or
Some of them are pickups.
I got a fucking
Tacomas are
pickup.
pickup.
All right. Well, we're not talking about like tow rigs. We're not. That's
Okay,
not
yeah.
really what the episode's about. We're not talking about what are your Carolina, what are your squat trucks. We're not talking about those this week.
We could, though.
We could, but I don't feel like Eric's the right guy to weigh in on that. So
I think Eric's
he
got
might
lots
be.
of opinions on the subject.
Look, that's not what we brought him here for. I didn't ask. Just everyone's got opinions.
All right.
Okay, so
Eric's here because he has
describe
the
the
coolest
bro.
truck out of us. That's why Eric's here. Eric.
So
has
what is
the
Eric's
only...
truck? Why is it so cool?
Okay, what is
Eric,
Eric's
go.
truck?
No. I want Ryan to explain it
Okay.
Yeah.
in the best of his terms and abilities.
I'm gonna say this
and
the
then
best that I
Eric to
can.
explain it.
Yeah. Here's what I'm gonna
Yeah.
say. Eric has the only truck slash like 4x4 that I've ever taken pictures of. That I've been like, I'm gonna do a full article on it. Before that, I did not give a shit about trucks. Then I met Eric and I saw his Toyota rigs and I was like, holy shit, these can be really cool. And it totally like changed my perception of what it meant to have like a 4x4. So that's how I see Eric as a truck owner. So Eric, now you can explain what your truck is.
Well, I mean, like I feel like my trucks are generally like I build them with the same style as like I would build a car. You know, it's like a ton of different custom suspension components. It's always got to have cool wheels. You know, there's got to be a certain aesthetic to it, right? Yeah, I don't know. I have.
And it has to be a Land Cruiser.
Oh, it doesn't have to be, but currently, yeah. But yeah, I've always like had my style shaped by kind of older stuff from Japan. So right now I've got a 1988 Toyota Land Cruiser, and it is coil spring swapped with the next gen Land Cruisers, axles, suspension, all that. It's got really cool wheels from Japan, straight pipe, no muffler. All clear lights.
Diesel, of
you know,
course, turbo diesel.
Diesel, of course. Yeah, and serial line shift knobs and all that crap.
What's the chassis code?
It is a HJ61.
Sick. It's boxy and like high and like has wide wheels and 35s and sounds dope.
You had the previous gen before this. Why did you go backwards in generation?
From an 80 to a 70.
To a 60.
60, yeah.
I've had a 70 as well, though.
Yeah, that's right.
The 70 is the one I took to Moab. Yeah, I don't know. I had the 80 for probably about
Two 80s.
Two 80s because I rolled the first one. I had the first one for about 5 years, the second one for about 2, and love the chassis, love the way they drove. But I kind of always had that hankering to get a 60. Like I really like the style. It's kind of like a truck X7, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Like the way it's built and all that stuff. Kind of even, the way it's styled.
Yeah, the way it looks for sure is very parallel to an X7 for sure.
Yeah.
You got the X7, so you can have twins,
Exactly. And the only thing that really stopped me for a long time was after years of driving different trucks, I really hate driving trucks with leaf springs. And they're not compliant. The steering's awful. Like it's all over the road constantly. And so I keep looking at them from afar, like, yeah, maybe one day, but I don't want it as my main truck. And then last year, like middle of COVID, a company down in the States called Trail Tailor released a like weld-on kit to allow you to put 80 series axles underneath your truck and do all that suspension, the coil springs and the panhards and everything that would actually make the truck nice to drive. So I started kind of not actively looking, but if something came up, I'd think about it. And all of a sudden, a friend of mine found this thing sitting behind a big mall in Burnaby, and it'd been abandoned for 6 years. And it just, yeah, everything worked out. A friend of mine was always interested in buying the 80, and yeah, I bought the kit, I bought the truck, and put the two together, and yeah, it's
Yeah.
exactly. It's like driving an 80, but with the looks of the 60, and yeah, it's I love the thing so far. So
I gotta know which mall
the
was it
dream.
behind?
it was behind Metrotown.
What? I mean,
Wow.
that's pretty. No, that's pretty common. There's tons of those like ghetto areas
It was
with like little carports and like
totally
abandoned vehicles.
well, it was like right off of the main drag behind Metrotown, like in the little apartment complex, like tucked
Yeah.
in between some little trees, you know.
So you've said it's not always been Land Cruisers for you.
Yeah, like I started off 07 or 08. I had a JZX81, and a friend of mine had a really old Toyota pickup, like a 82 Toyota pickup, and it just went everywhere. And we'd go camping, and I'd be driving like in my friend's Cressida, or I had like a 88 Tercel or whatever. You're just taking whatever you've got camping, right? And we'd hop in his pickup truck, and he'd drive us up all these trails, and it looked like a lot of fun. He basically introduced me to off-roading. And so I bought like a 95 Toyota pickup truck, and that's really what started it all. I just camp in the bed of the truck and sleep in the canopy and stuff like that. So yeah.
Fast forward today, and now no one can afford a Land Cruiser because of
No.
the Toyota tax.
No, I mean, like, I was lucky to be in the game, like many of us that have trucks now. You know, you have it, but if you were to get out of it and get into something else, you know, it'd be really hard to get back in.
Vancouver real estate and Land Cruisers, the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Exactly.
All right. So we should also say that all of us actually have a truck of some degree. Kevin, I feel like you have maybe the most oddball truck out of all of us.
Yeah,
And what is it?
probably.
And tell us about it.
It's a 1997 Toyota Dyna 200 4x4, which was a Japanese fire pump truck with a huge water pump and a PTO. Solid axle, drum brake front and rear. Yeah, the axles are just huge. Leafs front and rear. It's a super heavy duty truck.
Imagine like a box truck without the box, like a
Yeah.
quad cab box truck.
Yeah, it's
Super
got that-
short, but without the
Yeah.
box.
It's got that big boy shit, that like
Yeah.
14-inch diff.
Yeah.
It has a hydraulic ram that lifts the entire
Cab.
dual cab, so you can access the motor and transmission and everything. It has this like really shitty homemade box that I put on the back for now. I'd like to do 80 series axle swap like Eric's done, because that would give me disc brakes, coil springs, lockers, and a better
500
front-wheel
pounds
drive.
lighter.
Yeah, exactly. Because right now,
Cooler wheels.
with the gearing, it like tops out at like 90. Well, not really tops out at 90, but that's like my cruising speed. Like I could do 110, but like only for like a minute or two if I'm passing someone.
Right on.
Just
Yeah.
screaming.
Yeah. Basically, when it came down to it, I was like, well, I could get like an 80 series, or I could get this like way more ridiculous fire truck. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'll just get the fire truck.
It's surprising when we're on trails, that thing, I'm just like, man, that thing is going there. Like, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Seems
Yeah.
very on brand for Kevin to have
Yeah.
the weirdest thing.
Mine is like the
Yeah.
farthest from SERIALNINE brand. Maybe not. But yeah.
I mean,
I'd say
you-
yours is on par, dude.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite of mine, but
Yeah.
equally, like if it's a Venn diagram, like
Yeah.
we're both somehow like touching, but like
Yeah.
so far in opposite
Yeah.
directions.
for sure.
Yeah. So with that, Gerard, you have a
It's a Z62, which is a 2012 Infiniti QX56, sort of cousin to the Y62 Patrol. It has most of the goodies of the Patrol that all the rest of the world got, except we got shafted with like, no lockers and slightly smaller drivetrain and stuff. But it has the 400 horsepower VK56 VD and the 7-speed and 8 seats and power everything and heated steering wheel and power lift gate, whole nine.
360 cam.
360 cam. Yeah, it's got cameras for the bumper and like the right front wheel and shit. It's pretty cool.
I do feel like that's on current brand with SERIALNINE, that you've abandoned old Toyotas and have just gone to like Nissan.
Yeah. Had a Prado, had a Pajero, but my first truck was an Xterra. like an '01, like 5-speed, 170 horse. So fun.
Good.
It's hilarious because if you want, like, one of my questions that I like wrote down was like, all right, like, what would you get for 5K, 10K, 20K, like
Yeah.
unlimited budget? And I was like, man, like, if anyone was asking me, like, I'd probably tell them to get an Xterra too, but like,
Yeah,
like get a
100%.
manual Xterra, like,
Yeah, man.
and like
I mean,
the
honestly,
cheapest, safest, like, probably, or I don't know, maybe like a Grand Vitara. That might be
What?
like a
No.
like, what are you talking about? The like
They're not cheap.
XL7?
XL7 is fully not a truck. The XL7 is
So like 2 gens, like I swear 2 gens ago is like a pretty good truck.
no,
No?
I think you're talking about like the last Vitara before the XL7 was decent, but then the XL7 just went to like it's a garbage.
Like full.
is that
like,
a movie
mall-
like The Last
full, like,
Samurai?
mall.
Yeah.
The last Vitara.
Yeah.
Well,
But yeah,
I,
like honestly, I'm like diehard Toyota guy, but like on like it's like, hey, like what drift car would you get? Like,
Yeah,
This
exactly.
is fully,
35.
yeah.
like what like what off-road fucking like cheap thing should you get? Like
Yeah, like I mean
Xterra.
that's the thing. My Xterra like fucking shredded. Like it was $1,700, 5-speed, and like it doesn't have lockers. It has like an LSD. When I had it, I didn't love
Well-
that I went everywhere, but I did a lot of shit with it.
They're
That's-
really like S13 trucks, man.
Yes,
Like, they're
100%.
right now, they're right in that spot where they're kind of still disposable. Like
Yeah.
at least first gens.
Yeah.
Like they make sense, man. Like you're getting 400 capability for like a third of the price. It's
Yeah.
sometimes
Yeah.
way less, you know.
And they drive super sick, like fully
Yeah.
driftable, rain or snow.
I love that. That's always like.
I mean, this is a
measurement
requirement, man.
for.
you can
For
throw
me,
it
it's a
yeah, like
requirement,
First of
100%.
all, well,
And Ryan has.
Yeah,
Ryan has
I
a-
have a '99 Toyota 4Runner Limited. So just
Ooh.
like the most basic of things.
That's not
It's
basic,
limited.
dude. The limited's like the creme de la creme of
Not
like,
really.
that's
I mean,
the
it's
coveted
not-
Forerunner.
no, because it's not like a TRD or anything like that.
They didn't make a
They never
TRD.
make a
of
I
TRD.
know,
first
but
gens.
people
Just
like
the
put
best.
stickers on and then try to make claims that it's like that is the TRD of it, and it's like get out of here, you
You
fucking
could do that
liars.
too, Ryan.
I'm
Yeah,
not
you could
going
have a
to because
TRD
I'm not a liar. So
I'll
I'm not
cut you
gonna
the
do
vinyl,
that.
bro.
No, I don't want
It's
it.
already cut. We've got
Look,
someone applying it.
I literally
outside.
bought that truck
Yeah.
because it was easy to change my daughter's diaper in the back. It was like the perfect change table. I was like, cool.
That's an expensive ass
And-
change table.
Yeah, I was
man.
just
Yeah.
gonna say.
yeah.
It wasn't that expensive at the time, and it was the only like truck that my wife and I could agree on. She
How much
really,
was your Forerunner?
I paid like 6,200 for it, and it has
Oh,
under
that's a good
300,000.
price.
Yeah.
Under 300,000. The timing belt had just been done, so I bought it. That was like looked at some other ones, and that was the best one that came up. It was
That's-
before they went like pew to the moon, and
Yeah.
now I think it's worth.
When did
more.
you buy that?
I bought it like 3 years ago.
Really?
like-
eh?
That's
Like,
a good,
I-
yeah.
Yeah, that's a great price even for then, man. Like I
Yeah.
remember like 5-6 years ago, like looking at prices, and it was like a first gen Toyota pickup or second whatever, first gen Toyota 4Runner, second gen Toyota pickup would be like $3,000. So like anything in the late 80s. And then you'd move to the 89 to 95 models, you'd add $3,000. And then if you went into like a first gen Tacoma or a third gen 4Runner, you'd be like 10 grand.
Yeah.
Like 3 to 5 years ago.
When I bought my Xterra in 2017 or whatever, I was looking at Forerunners, and like the prices were just you'd pay 4 or 5, or like they'd be asking 4 or 5 grand for like a clapped out 350,000 K rust bucket, and I was like, I'm not
Rebuilt
buying it.
status,
Yeah.
damage, you know.
yeah, for half the price you get twice the truck. So yeah. Anyways,
The market's still crazy, and when I was looking in Alberta and Saskatchewan and BC, and there was
Does
nothing
yours have a
coming up.
rusty chrome bumper?
It absolutely does, because I don't
Weird.
they all.
Is it some variant of silver or champagne?
Yeah, that's right, silver gray.
it's the Camry truck.
Yeah.
It's fully the Camry truck.
All right. So here's the thing. We brought Eric here to give guidance to people that are thinking of switching or venturing into, what would we call this scene? Do we call, like, what is a specific word for this scene? We don't want to say
Overlanding.
overland, but he got rid of overlanding from his name. Do we want to still call it overlanding?
But I mean, that's what it's
I mean,
technically
We'll call
called.
it wayfaring.
The thing is, like, I'd say 95 or maybe more percent of people that use the word overland are you like don't even understand that like overland is really like long term, like long distance vehicular travel. If you're going like 5 hours away to go camp at a hot springs, you're not overlanding, you know. That's why I got rid of the name, because I wasn't doing travel like that. And my friend and I,
It
Josh,
almost feels like you're giving people too much credit for them to drive 5 hours to go to a hot springs with
well,
their truck.
whatever, but that's just camping, dude. That's just car camping. That's not
Car
overlanding.
camping, yeah.
But you have done that. You've gone on full out trips, like
Yeah, we've gone to
But,
Utah
yeah.
and Colorado, Nevada, like down the coast and stuff like that, you know. That's I don't even know if I'd still call that overlanding, man. Like to me, overlanding is
It's like fully
is-
long distance.
it's like, yeah, like a 60-year-old couple in a Unimog like going across Russia or something like that, you know,
Yeah.
or like that's overlanding.
I don't know. I
Or
saw
like
the photos. It looked like you were like, as far as I know, I would feel like you'd have more stake to it than anyone else to say overlanding.
Yeah,
Well, I mean-
I know, but
I mean,
like,
you're still driving somewhere to go on a trail in a different like geographical area with different features.
yeah, I
Did you
mean,
stay in
you're
a
on a trip.
hotel? Did you stay in a hotel?
Never, dude.
Well, that sounds like overlanding to me. You went
But I mean,
overland in no
22.
hotel.
It was like, but it's like driving to a drift event, man. Like you're like, oh yeah, we got to get to Irwindale in 2 days. So you're like, okay, I'm just gonna drive 22 hours straight.
Sleep at a beach.
Yeah, and we'd pull over.
But like at
and
least you have a
sleep in the
truck
side
to
of the
sleep in.
road. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yo,
Instead
bucket
of taking
does it
a
for me,
dirt
though.
nap in front of your car.
But then you see those dudes, like we got guys here, like that bring their trucks, you know, from Germany or whatnot, and they have those crazy MANs or not really even Unimogs. They're like these weird purpose-built.
Yeah, they're like
That's like the
That's
upper echelon of overlanding for sure.
Yeah, that you see like an old couple in like a Peugeot truck or something weird
Yeah.
like that you've never seen before. It just
Yeah.
looks like a toaster.
First gen, like the first gen Mercedes-Benz Sprinter. That's
Yeah.
fully a toaster, and it's always blue.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
always like filled with cancerous rust.
All right, all right. So now that we've decided we can't call this overlanding, what the hell are we going to call it?
But I mean, I feel like that's
It's
the
just
elephant
people
in the
getting
room.
to wheeling, really, though, you know, like, yeah, I mean, that's the simplest sense of it. Like I see like guys in our groups and in locals, or like you look at like Gold Star and those guys, like, you know, they're just getting out in trucks that are, you know, similar to like a modded drift car and just going wheeling for the weekend, just like we
Yeah.
do, right?
It's just like another thing to do. Like, you know what I mean? Like you get to see, I mean, we live in British Columbia. We have like extremely beautiful, you know, everything literally an hour or 2 or 5 or 20 from our house. And like, you could, you know, the sky's the limit. You could spend weeks and weeks in our backcountry, sort of like exploring.
I mean, dude, I've been
Yeah.
trying to tell people this since like 08. Yo,
Yeah.
come on, man, let's do this. It's awesome. It's so much fun. Like, look at what you can see.
Did I get a truck before you, Kevin? I guess I did. Because I was going to ask the question, like, what
had
made
the
you get a
you had
truck?
the Xterra. I just wanted, yeah, that's the thing. I just wanted to get out there and like see the like beautiful areas that we lived in, you know. I enjoyed camping as a kid, and like I hadn't been camping, you know, a lot like after that. Because I'd just been so fixated on cars, and you know, like Eric said, like, you know, you go to drift events and like sleep at the track or sleep in your car or do, you know, like do whatever it takes to go to these drift events. But like I was kind of like, yeah, man, like, you know, I'd like to go and see the beautiful area that we live in. And then yeah, like you got a truck, and then Dustin got a truck, and then like, you know, like Eric kind of always had trucks, and I was just like, man, like, yeah, it would be really sick to get my own truck.
Get a real weird truck, and then you did it.
Well, I got it. It was actually that camping trip that we all went on in like, I can't even remember when that
It's like
was.
2011, I think.
Yeah, it was like
when I had that
2011.
quad cab and we drove through the river.
Eric had exactly. Eric had this Hilux, and like we all piled into the back and like drove through the river, and like we're like ripping around. And then you and I actually, Kevin, like, I don't know if we walked or drove some car up basically like a different FSR, and we were like overlooking this huge valley and like Squamish River. And I was like this is literally like 2 hours from my house. Like,
I
shit,
think
I gotta get
I
a
think it was
truck.
Matt's CRV.
Yeah, it was like a CRV or something.
I think that was Matt's first gen CRV.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But I was like, yo,
Yeah,
like we could just do this all the time. Like, I mean, I didn't get a truck then, but that was kind of like
Yeah, the
we
like
need to get a truck.
the realization.
Yeah, that was when it was for me.
So you guys essentially read the license plate of BC, which is just like beautiful British Columbia, and you're like, better go find out why.
Yeah.
And then here you are.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah, exactly.
So I want to know though, and this will be for Eric. So we're talking about people getting into wheeling now that we've identified that it's wheeling. People coming in from the car scene, what should they know about getting into it?
Like about like modding your truck or like just going out into the backcountry kind of thing or what?
Yeah, what would
Clean
be-
up
Good
after
God.
yourself.
Yeah.
Bear spray.
Yeah, first things like about a truck. Like what should I be looking at? if
It
I'm
must
looking
be
at-
4-wheel drive.
Well,
Must
basically,
be
I mean,
solid axle. Must
not
Man,
be
we're
necessarily.
Toyota.
really not understanding when we
Must
said
be
Eric.
D's drive.
Well, your
Yeah.
question is very
Yeah.
vague.
I mean, it kind of is. To start off, you can really take anything that's got a little bit of ground clearance and probably all-wheel drive, and just start doing some day trips. Look up some trails online or
So
places
like
you
an
like
Eagle
to see.
Talon.
Yeah, exactly. Or no, like an AMC, like the
Yeah,
old,
AMC
the
Eagle.
Woody
old school.
wagon one.
Yo, those
Yeah.
are sick.
You got to look at it like if you're planning on like maybe getting into this, that you could dive down a wormhole like no other, because you will end up spending just as much money on that daily or your off-road vehicle as your truck very fast.
Or as your drift car, even, or as your
Yeah.
car.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I mean. Or you could just kind of get a beater truck. You could get a shit kicker truck like Gerard got like for his first truck, and you fix it up. You made it pretty nice.
Yeah,
and,
it had the like 3-piece wheels and shit on it.
yeah,
sick.
and you had the Skyline seats and stuff like
Yeah,
that. And
yeah,
make it your own, which is some cheap mods, and then have something that you can take out into the bush and will be semi-reliable. But yeah, you definitely got to know that these things can get pretty expensive pretty fast.
One thing that always totally surprised me, and like was like one of the kind of the first trips that like Gerard and I went on. I went out with him in his Xterra, and it was like, I swear it was completely stock. I swear he hadn't done the lift. Maybe it had tires like that came with it at that point.
When
but,
we
like,
did that camping
it
trip
was-
and we were jumping it.
yeah, and like it was just like so darn capable for like being stock. You don't really need everything to do
No.
everything. Like,
Like
yeah,
honestly, you'd be surprised at how hard you can push a car that you might not believe it can do what it's gonna do.
Yeah.
It might not make it home.
Well, that's the thing, is like, okay, I mean, I guess you see a lot of people. I mean, it's sort of like the car thing too, right? People get into trucks because it's fucking cool, and then they like get this truck, and then they get these wheels, and then they get this lift, and they get they buy a lot of unnecessary shit because they want, I don't know, a certain aesthetic or like a certain image. But like,
yeah,
if
we're
you're
all guilty.
actually wheeling, man, you'd be surprised what you could do in a stock 4x4 fucking anything, man. Like
Totally.
literally
You know
anything.
what? It's a lot like building a drift car in a way that, or any sort of like race car, where you see a lot of people will just, select all, add to cart because
Yeah.
they've seen the thing done before, when in reality, like, it does pay dividends to just kind of like take your truck out as a stock truck and just kind of like get stuck and, go with some friends, obviously, but get stuck and break stuff and try it out before you like just instantly just add 30 grand or whatever to a Tacoma. And next thing you know, like you've never even turned the 4-wheel drive on, but you got max tracks and you got roto packs and all this crap bolted to the side,
Yeah.
So here's my question then. What is the angle kit of wheeling? Like the thing where
Long
it's like, I need
travel,
that.
long travel.
No, is it though?
I don't
You sure
know.
it's
It's
not
like
the
every
lift?
Tacoma bro is like, got to get long travel, man.
For what though? Like, are they jumping it?
That's
The
what I say.
Baja, duh.
Yeah, man. You ever been to the desert, bro?
I mean, I guess technically I haven't. Like,
I don't know, the angle kit of off-roading.
But yeah, what do you mean by the angle kit though? You know
Yeah,
what
I
I
don't
mean?
know,
Like,
man.
I guess that's a.
I mean, like the angle kit in past episodes we've talked about, I think, where people are like, well, I get the angle kit and it'll like like when you're building a drift car and
it'll make me drift sick.
Yeah, it'll make me drift sick. This is like they
What
have
will
it.
make
I've
you
seen it.
overland sick?
Yeah, like
A
what
drone.
makes you?
A drone.
Yeah, rooftop tent.
A rooftop tent. Yeah,
No.
for sure.
Mod number
For
1,
Sure.
awning.
Awning.
Awning
Yeah.
for sure.
Now you need drawers. Where are you gonna put your shit without drawers?
Dude, you need patches on the headliner. That's the first mod.
Oh, headliner patch. Headliner patch.
Why is there not a Serial 9 headliner patch?
Yo.
These
'Cause,
these
my-
episodes are full of great ideas, and you guys are just throwing them all away. Okay, so coming out of the gate, realistically, you probably don't need a ton of things to start wheeling. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, man. I mean, like, you don't really need to mod. Like, if you get a stock Xterra, you could take it a lot of places, man. A lot of places. Like, I would
Or
hit the road with like a plug patch kit, a compressor so you can air your tires down and just go for it.
Yeah, I mean a stock, anything like Tacoma or Forerunner or I guess I had a Pajero before, which is pretty cool. I guess those are Monteros in the States. I don't know what else, Kevin.
I don't know. You get
A high
you get new-
ace.
a Zuzu Raider.
Yeah.
You could get a Zuzu Via Cross.
Dude, those things are kind of sick though.
What about like
Yeah,
I don't
those
I
those
don't know
things are
anything
kinda
about
sick.
I don't know anything
Yeah,
about
those-
like the
those are, like, the
American
car winning.
versions. The new, there's the new all
New
those like,
Bronco.
well, I mean, what are the older? What's the older equivalent? It's like not a Colorado, but like a S10 or some shit, or I don't know. I mean, Jeeps.
Sure.
What about Jeeps, man? Everyone's got Jeeps. We forgot about those.
We're not talking about Jeeps.
Yeah, we're talking about cool off-road vehicles.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
Hey,
You take your Jeep back to your dream mansion and just relax. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
Bro, I'm
Why
buying a
Ken will come over
Gladiator.
later.
Why are all Jeeps so angry though?
A person gets a truck or a Jeep, I guess, if they don't have any taste, and then they head out and
You're-
start
You're a
driving
hater,
around.
man.
Yeah, I mean, I am. If you've listened to any of these podcasts, I have lots of opinions on things, and none of them are like necessarily right. I just have opinions.
Jeeps are to you what Model 3s are to Gerard.
Yeah, exactly.
And like every Nissan is to Kevin.
Yeah. So people, they get out there, they start getting their seat time in, they're gaining experience and confidence in their wheeling abilities. Now they want to take it to the next level. What mods come after you've put in your seat time? What should you be doing?
2.5-inch lift, locker, tires.
Yeah,
That's it.
I would say lift and tires is probably the next for sure.
Yeah,
That was
lift
a
and
simple
tires, and
answer.
then probably a locker, or that could
Yeah.
be your next mod after the lift and tires.
So not a tent, not an awning, not a ladder.
Also, like it's kind of like vehicle dependent. Like maybe your truck comes with like shitty, like basically road tires, and like
Yeah,
tires
you
is
might
like the
need to do
first
that
thing you gotta
absolutely
do.
first.
And like I don't know, maybe your truck came with like dope tires that are like already a pretty decent size, and like if you just got like a locker, then you're like unstoppable, and you don't even need a lift or something. Like
Yeah, I
There's a-
mean,
you
like
know,
if
it
you
kinda-
bought like a
it-
new Bronco or the new Defender, or I guess if you had like, I mean, none of the Land Cruisers ever really came with, especially not now. They come with like full out like touring tires and shit. Like,
Yeah.
you could buy a Raptor.
You could buy a Raptor. You could buy a crazy Jeep. What about that new
Yeah, you could buy
Dodge
the
like
crazy
T-Rex?
Gladiator.
what the heck is that?
Dude, it's a
Yeah, I'm not
Hellcat
familiar.
powered Ram that's like a
Oh,
Raptor
yeah.
competitor, and it's fucking
They
crazy.
called it a T-Rex.
Yeah, it's got one of those like Easter eggs in the car where it's a raptor eating.
Oh, yeah.
Or sorry, it's a
No.
T-Rex eating a raptor.
Full on. If I ever had to build a 4x4, I would just call it like an asteroid, and then it's just because it
It's
wiped
just
out the
ultimate-
dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Too bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Here comes Ryan in his Meteor.
That's the noise it would make.
Oh yeah.
Okay, that's how they should sound.
Is that
Good question.
electric?
If you're coming to wipe out the dinosaurs, you better be electric.
Yeah, no doubt, right? That's
Yeah.
the
But
whole.
I'm trying to get us that,
I'm
that
correct.
petrol fuel.
Maybe
So,
maybe you can pitch Elon and get the Cybertruck called the Meteorite and fucking.
yeah.
I mean, it
And then
looks like a fucking meteor.
It does.
It looks like a door wedge.
It looks like if
Um,
your 4-year-old daughter drew a meteor with
Like
a gray
my
crayon.
4-year-old daughter.
I don't know anyone's.
Why they got to be a daughter, Gerard? Boys,
I
can
got
draw
2,
too.
man. So
All right. Here's a fun question. So I'm interested in the topic of wheels for trucks because it seems like there's a lot of varying opinions on this. Like from when I started looking into stuff, I noticed a lot of truck dudes don't want to spend a lot of money on wheels, but then there seems to be another camp Eric, which I feel you belong to, that is totally okay with like the 3-piece shiny fancy wheel.
Yeah, there's
Where-
definitely like a group of people that like didn't really come from like a modify your car background, that just steel wheels are a-okay, fucking smash every door on the truck every weekend, you know.
Yeah,
Doesn't
steel wheels
matter.
are not okay.
I mean, I don't know. That's
but
like
you
a
can
lot of
hit
car
them-
dudes' attitudes as well.
You can hit them with a hammer and knock them back to straight when you smash them with a rock, you know.
Yeah, because they fucking bend so easily because they're
Yeah.
junk.
So people's concerns, do you feel like they're valid when they talk about putting like shiny 3-piece wheels on 4x4s? Or
Not really.
do you,
I mean, somewhat.
I don't know. The thing that's nice about 3-piece wheels is like you can have accidents with them and smash them up, and then they're salvageable, rebuildable, as long as you don't Gerard your wheel and bend the face and taco the thing completely. But you know, they can take more abuse than most of those like cast 1-piece wheels that a lot of people run. You know, you can rebuild them to a more aggressive size if you want. You can continuously fix them up, or you know, they can always be refinished. You know, I will have no hesitation to spin my wheels into rocks and have rocks spin inside of the dish. It just comes with the territory, right? But
Right.
it's
Let her back.
yeah, exactly. Let her eat.
so
Yeah.
do you think now with like the influx of all these like car dudes coming into the wheeling scene, we'll see more and more of that type of build?
I think so. I mean, you're already starting to see it. Yeah, I got friends like all over the East Coast and West Coast that seem to be building trucks that have 3-piece wheels. You know, like the day I posted mine up, a friend of mine, Mason, he posted up that he got the exact same Epsilons
yeah,
on
I
his
saw that.
Forerunner. And then my friend Charlie back East, he's got nice 3-piece wheels on his 60 series. And yeah, just, you know, there's people popping up all over the place that kind of have like a similar taste for their trucks as their cars, you know.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's, I mean, it is sick. Yeah. It's like, I don't know.
it's cool to see because, like,
it's-
you know, it's
Because,
been
yeah,
years
when
of
you
the
used to
same
see like a
repeated
modded
formula.
Toyota,
You know?
it was just like, yeah, like a beat up Toyota and like, yeah, like steel wheels and yeah, it just rat bagged. But now it's sick when you see one, you're like, yo, that's a fucking nice truck.
Yeah, you know, for years, like the only wheels you'd see on nice builds in the States would be like center lines, like
Yeah,
those Mickey Thompson Classic 2s and stuff. And it's like,
yeah,
they're shiny, they're nice. You know, they usually are pretty crazy fitment, but you know, it's been done.
yeah.
It's you know, pretty old school look.
I think the thing for me too is like I think now there's a lot more choices for cool truck wheels because I mean, you know, I'm of that opinion where like it doesn't have to be 3-piece or super duper name brand, but a lot of those really cool wheels from Japan that are 1-piece are, I guess you call it name brand, like Bradley V's, and then there was like the Bridgestone meshes that I had, Wedge Keelers.
Yeah,
and,
the
like,
Keelers, you see those a lot, and they're pretty cool, man.
yeah, and there's a lot of just like in Japan, like it's pretty cool or common to have like a car looking, you know, 16 or 17-inch aluminum wheels.
Yeah.
It's just silver and it just looks really nice. Whereas like here, it seemed like all the truck wheels had to be like black with like machining or like,
Yeah, they
you know,
always have to have like
bronze.
weird steps in the lips or like
Yeah,
3/4-inch plastic bolts on the face and stuff. It's like these gaudy center caps that are like 7 inches in diameter.
yeah.
You know,
it's
it's
like,
like
why
ditch
is it
all that garbage.
Skulls.
Oh yeah, big
It's like
Monster-
it's like
monster center caps.
the entire Affliction design crew like
yeah,
left when like the company went under and like went to making wheels for
Yeah.
trucks.
big metal militia sticker on the back window.
Yeah.
Yeah, for like a 7-inch stack.
Yeah,
But yeah, I mean, there's those, you know, I guess those Bradley V copies, I guess, if you will. And Eric, you helped make those in the 17 and like basically the coolest possible size that they offered.
yeah, like those Stealth Custom series, the F5s that are like really popular now. You know, they're just a rep of that Bradley V. But yeah, they I got them to make it in that 17x9, which took forever. But yeah, they didn't even make the real one in a size that crazy. And you know, once I convinced the guys at Stealth Custom to make that size, like, what do you know? Like, it was their #1 seller. Now they make every single wheel they make in a 17x9 -38. You know.
Yeah. And they have a new version of that wheel too. It like, you know, it's a bit different, like looks kind of cool or whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of like more squared off, like almost like not quite Regamaster, but
Yeah.
you know, that style.
Sounds like you're sending their kids to college and then you just get bragging rights.
Basically, I mean, they gave me they hooked me up. So
Well, that's good. But now you don't even run those wheels anymore.
yeah, I still kept one to use as like exactly.
A
Hang
medal.
it from the wall.
If I was a guy looking for wheels for like for a 4x4, what would you suggest? Where should I go? Where should I
Black
start my
Rhino.
search? God damn it, Gerard.
Are you drunk?
Yeah, marketplace, discount tire direct.
Yeah.
Gerard's
10
out here
tire.
just like pumping TSW to make them hot. Like no
Wait,
matter
okay,
how hard you try,
the-
it's not going to be a thing, Gerard.
The thing
not gonna
is,
be a thing.
okay, so for example, Kevin and I
They're not
have,
fetch.
have extremely fucking weird wheel sizing. Like Kevin can't buy fucking 3-piece Japanese wheels or whatever that would look so-called sick. I could, but I'd be spending like $3,000. I'm probably not going to do that on a truck when it's like my 5th vehicle or some shit. You know what I mean? I got 3-piece wheels all over the place on my other cars, so I had to buy the 1-piece, something that I thought looked unique, and like I customized them or whatever, and they work. And I mean, Kevin, same thing. He got some custom wheels built for his truck, so they're still cool.
Yeah,
I mean, and
basically, it was a dually rear on my truck and like a normal style dually front wheel too. So what we did is measured the offset of the axles, and I got custom wheels made so that I can flip them so that I can only have one spare on the truck, and it's the same wheel on the rear mounted with the dish, and you flip it over and put it on the front on the positive side, and it goes on the front, and then those wheels run in the same track within 10 mil. I think actually it's within like 5 mil.
Yeah, it's pretty.
It would have been
close.
perfect, except the thickness of the face when they made it was thicker than I assumed it
Yeah.
was going to be, but
You're
it's still
goddamn
totally
MacGyver.
fine. Yeah.
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 So,
Gerard, why can't you take like a set of old wheels and have them rebuilt? I don't like.
Okay, so
run
my
me
truck-
through that. So
yeah,
I never
okay.
buy your truck, and other people don't, so they don't have this problem.
Well, my truck is it's a fairly modern truck, so it uses like a relatively high offset wheel, right? So most of what guys run, like say in Australia or something on the Y62, is like an 18x9 plus 20 or 24, which I mean, we all know that's a pretty whack looking wheel, no matter how you slice it, right? Like, so I mean, you could probably put a 0 on, like on my Xterra, my wheel stuck out like 2 inches, which was kind of fine and sick, but like on my sort of like nice truck that I drive every day, I kind of want it to be sort of fitting. So I went with like, 9.5, 20 or something like that. So yeah, the choices are fairly limited. You're either going to get something that looks super ugly or kind of ugly. And then I felt like mine were sort of like, because they have the concave.
They're ugly hot, man.
Yeah, they're like kind of, they look like almost OEM wheels, which I think is sort of cool. I painted them silver, so they don't look blatantly like aftermarket, but they look, in my opinion, cool with the 35. So
Yeah, I like that look.
yeah, they definitely look good. They're definitely like,
What truck has the best wheel option for it?
Eric's or
Yeah,
any
like,
of those older,
yeah, definitely like any like 79 to 95, 79 to 85 Toyota pickup. Like Land Cruisers from that era, like they just swallow up huge wheels. Like you can put like a 15x10 on it and still be kind of sunk with like a -50 offset.
what about that
It's-
like Hawaiian style?
Yeah, that, you
Yeah.
could definitely go like 15x14s on it and only poke like 2 inches. I love that style.
So then you should only buy Land Cruisers is now what I've taken from this. If you want to,
If you want to have
If you want to
maximum
have maximum wheel,
yeah.
So
Yeah.
why did you pick your truck over a Toyota other than your current love affair with Nissans?
Okay, so the
and
Xterra turned
other than the price.
other than the price. Well, yeah, I mean, okay, so for example, my truck was about the same price as like an 80 series. An 80 series is what, like a 1997, maybe 96.
Yeah, at the newest.
Yeah.
like,
So, and one thing that was very important for me was to be able to have 2-wheel drive. My truck is full-time 4-wheel drive, but it is a Nissan, so I just simply put a switch in or remove the fuse, and then I have 2-wheel drive. So that was an important thing for me. I wanted fully independent. I had the Pajero before, and it had fully independent suspension, and I really liked that. So that, I mean, honestly, watching those guys wheel the Y62s in Australia and stuff, I was like, yo, that can do that. And I was like, that's my truck. And it, you know, it has 7 seats, big engine, super comfy, looks really kind of unique. And I think it looks cool. Takes 35 stock. And that's like a pretty cool thing. And it's modern. I wanted a truck that I could drive every day comfortably, then take wheeling. And it's fast. And it can tow my car, and it can carry my whole family. So that's why I bought my truck.
I love the first time we all went out as a group with our trucks, and we went up to Squamish, and when we were setting up for camp, and we'd all kind of pulled in and were just chilling, and those guys were still trying to look for camp in those Tacomas and that Avalanche or whatever
Yeah, it
drove
was an
by.
Avalanche. Yeah.
Yeah. And the guy, I can't remember if it was the guy in the Avalanche or the guy in the like GMC pickup or whatever, but he looked over at your truck and went, "That thing can make it here?" Like really? Like,
Yeah.
That
come
dude
on,
was in,
man.
like,
This
the
thing's more
world's-
capable than your truck.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
guy was in the world's worst Chevy. Like that was
Yeah.
like, I swear it was like an Avalanche or like a
Yeah, it
like
was an Avalanche.
SVX or something.
Yeah,
Like-
like chrome wheels and shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I
Yeah.
just for 1 second confused an Avalanche for an Aztec. And I
No,
was
it
like,
basically
yo.
is. It basically is.
It might as
No,
well
an Avalanche
be.
has an LS in it though, so that's kind of
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
It's got
Yeah.
like the like
Aztec.
mismatched like
Body.
colored bumpers like
Yeah.
a Cavalier would have. Like,
Yeah.
Well, that was the style of the time.
No,
Let's
it
talk about the
basically a-
Aztec.
that
an
was the
Aztec
money saving
4x4.
technique of the time.
Let's talk about the Aztec. Should I get it? Had a tent in the
Dude,
back.
that was way ahead of its time. That
It
was the
was.
overland vehicle.
Isn't that like vehicle he drove in Breaking Bad
Yeah,
when he was
Breaking
broke,
Bad is
yeah.
army green. That
Aztec?
I
Man,
think it's
those
like
are-
I think it's desert sand tan, but what yeah, either way.
no, it's
Hey,
green in Breaking Bad.
What's the best color for an off-road vehicle?
What?
Fire truck red.
Fire truck red for sure.
Yeah, because that way when you're run out
Wrong.
of diesel in the middle of nowhere and the helicopter has to come get you, they can spot
Yeah.
you easily.
Ah, shit, that's a good answer. Eric, you got any? What's your favorite off-road color?
Anything but black, dude.
I got a black truck. It looks great. It's got some nice BC pinstriping on it.
I'm just gonna go with Toyota. Is it Quicksand or Sandstorm?
Champagne.
Yeah, it's Toyota Darude Sandstorm.
Sandstorm. That's the one. Anytime I look at a new Toyota, I'm like, can I get it in that color? And then I realize I'm broke.
What about capability? Like, I feel like a lot of people would probably say, like, oh, full independent suspension, it's not very capable. Is capability like a big deal? Like, I mean, most Tacomas, I mean, are bought because, you know, it's got the locker and all that sort of stuff stock, and I guess they are fairly capable vehicles. So like, do you think most of these guys are actually using these trucks to the potential that they actually require capability, quote unquote, or is it just mainly a style thing? Or
I mean, like from what I see of the like drifter dudes and like car guys that have gone into off-roading, like, you know, I see these guys at Moab and doing trails in Colorado and stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, they're actually using it, but you know, probably 75% of people that have these trucks, you know, don't really use them to their full capability. I mean, I don't use my truck to its full capability, but I guess the thing you kind of think about with building a truck sometimes is like, well, at least I've got the capability if I get into a jam, you know,
Yeah.
or like we're doing this trail, but like, oh, it washed out. Well, you know, we're 5 hours back to the road this way. Well, you know, should we attempt this kind of thing? And,
yeah.
you know, knowing that you've got the capability to get through something like that can definitely make it or break it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
if you have lockers and a winch, then maybe, you know, you're kind of good no matter really what truck you have or something like that.
Yeah.
Stuff you explore, like, you know what I mean? The more ways you have to get out of a situation, the safer you're gonna feel, and like, you know, the better off you're gonna be.
So it sounds to me like there's a difference where it's like, so if you were building a car or a drift car, you're looking for like parts that help you like push. Actually, it is a bit the same, but I'm going to frame it differently. That help you push almost to the limit, like get more angle, more speed, blah, blah, blah. When you're now talking about from your perspective of building a 4x4, it could be looked at like, oh, I'm trying to build to push the limit, but probably most of us are actually building safety nets for like our truck. It's like, I'm going to go out, I'm going to be out in the wilderness, and this is a different type of dangerous than like tossing your car at a wall sideways. It's like, I'm going to go out, I could get stuck, I could be 4 hours away. So it's like
Hey man, like I
case.
rolled my truck like 7 or 8 hours from here down in Washington, doing like the most like just boring trail. Like I mean, I won't say it was boring. It had an amazing view, and we were going along a cliff edge, but yeah, it was just like a flat gravel road, and you know, things happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring that up. I didn't want to relive awful memories.
It's socket. It's not a bad topic.
Okay.
Yes, I had this question. So what would be something maybe that you would skimp on when you're building your car, but you would never think to ever do on your truck?
What would you skip on your car?
You're like, you know what I mean? Like, I could get away with like just buying like the off-brand, or like, it doesn't really matter. Like, my blow-off valve's not like the best, you know. But you're like,
fiberglass bumpers. That's my skip for cars. Fiberglass bumpers.
Yeah, maybe maybe
off-brand.
exactly. Maybe you're like, I need a bumper, but like,
Max
I
Tracks,
know
dude.
that's not Eric. Eric's
I
not
would.
like,
Max
Eric's not
Tracks,
like
dude.
the-
You need
bumper guy.
AliExpress Max Tracks.
I mean, I would probably say maybe a winch. If I was gonna get a winch, I don't have one, but I probably wouldn't buy the shittiest winch. I'd probably buy something that's actually gonna work when I need it, and like not be,
Yeah,
you know,
that makes
killing my
sense.
battery or not actually working or like jamming up. Yeah, I feel like I'd probably get a name brand,
Yeah,
or at
it's
least
like
a
the one
well-known
time
winch.
you really need it to work, and it's
Yeah,
not gonna work,
that's-
and you're just like, fuck.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of anything better than having like a winch. And it's funny because I'm saying that like never really having had a winch.
I was just gonna say Eric's never had a winch.
I had it
Never
on the
needed one.
On
Yeah.
the Moab trip, bro.
yeah, exactly. I built that 70 series, went down to Moab and met up with all the Stanceworks guys, and I only had the truck for a month. Kept making jokes like, yeah, I never got to test the 4-wheel drive. And then what do you know? Like 5 minutes into the first day, we hit this weird incline. I'm still nervous from my rollover like the year before, you know, getting back into 4-wheeling, and I'm on this weird angle really uphill, and the 4-wheel drive doesn't work, and I've got to use the winch. And it's like, well, thankfully I got that working before I left, you know. But yeah, I mean, I've never had a winch on any other truck, and I sold the winch that came on the 60. So maybe I'm
Is
not
that-
the best
was
one to talk.
Was that
Yeah, man.
so why don't you have a winch? Is it an aesthetic thing, or you just don't think you need it, or
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess
Expensive.
like a lot of the time I'm with other people, so it's like if we're on some sort of trip like that, I've always got toe straps and some sort of recovery gear. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily an aesthetic thing, because I usually have had like off-road bumpers and stuff.
yeah, that would
I
probably
guess,
hide a
like,
winch pretty easily.
Yeah, I guess like, you know, it is a fairly big ticket item, and I've always just had other priorities first,
Like
considering
three-piece
like
wheels.
3-piece wheels, intercooler, turbo upgrades, stuff like that.
Yeah,
So yeah,
real off-road shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta let her eat, man.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, hey man, if you can make it up to the top of that rock without using the winch, then you don't ever
Yeah.
need a winch.
So I was gonna say, like, what about the, yeah, like what is 4x4?
Yeah, I think like the off-road truck like landscape is as broad as you could imagine the car landscape is,
Yeah,
from
for
like
sure.
drag racing to, you know, like
Yeah,
Yeah.
drifting and low riders and everything in between, you know, like
I kind of imagine that there's like the group of people that are totally interested in the journey of how they're
Yep.
getting to where they are. Like nobody's really been there, and it's really hard to get through, and it's
Mhm.
like they got to get, and it's a task to get
Yeah.
to where they're going. And then there's the people that are maybe
Yeah,
more
been
inclined
there.
to be like, I just want to get to where I'm going so I can enjoy
Mhm.
the end, right? Like, wow,
Yeah.
what an amazing view, what an amazing place to be, what a cool place to come camp. And that's kind of like how I see it.
I think you know, what a lot of us find the most fun is kind of like a blend of both of
Yeah.
those things, right?
yeah I was
Where
gonna say that
we're
too.
trying to get to like a cool destination, and we do some challenging obstacles on the way there that kind of, it's like, this is the reason why I have this thing, you know, because if you're just blasting down FSRs, well,
You
we
could
could
just have a
all, yeah, we
Jaguar.
could-
You're doing a
yeah,
Camry.
exactly, right?
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah,
it
you
is
gotta
cool
you gotta
to
do something that makes it so that the other people who don't have the vehicles that you have can't be where you are.
Yeah, it's
make it
kind
a
of like
little bit harder to get to, and yeah, it just makes the destination that you're getting to even that much sweeter,
Less
right?
people have seen it, right?
It's kind of like
less-
flexing drifting too. Like if you're sick at drifting and have like, you can tandem and you can do all that. I feel like that's sort of on par. Like once you're at that level and you're doing trails that are challenging for like the normie or like normies are kind of like, oh, that's pretty crazy. But like, you're like, yeah, no problem, bro. Like I got this. You know what I mean?
What's the one thing you wouldn't leave home without?
Probably the tire compressor or the speedy deflator.
Yeah.
I don't even know.
I'd
man.
say I'd say like a rope or like a shovel, some sort of that's like not having jumper cables. It's like if you
Yeah.
have a flat battery and jumper cables, any car that drives by, you can
Well, I
probably
guess
be like, hey, but if
I-
and like same thing with a rope. If you have a rope and you're stuck, someone could give you a hand. But
I
like
don't even know if
they
there's
don't,
like I don't think there's like one specific thing. I
Yeah,
can
there's
point,
definitely like a
because I have
path.
like a little kit that like stays in my truck at
Yeah.
all times, and it's like I've got a fire extinguisher, I've got the speedy deflator, the compressor stays in there, I've got a toolkit, driving a 1988 truck. I've got spare belts. I've got
Yeah.
the 20-foot strap and shackles.
I feel
Yeah.
like the recovery kit's it's a pretty like standard thing. If you have like a half decent recovery kit, like any 4x4 should basically have that.
Yeah.
What's the recovery kit look like?
Well, for me, it's just a rope and 2 shackles. For someone else, it's probably way better.
Oh yeah, I mean, I got a toe strap, some shackles.
Well, it looks like you got the same kit.
Well, no, I have one of those
Were
like
they on sale?
folding shovels. I don't know, some
Yeah.
gloves and shit, some
I have
tools. I don't know.
I have one of those like really funny like folding shovels where you tighten the thing.
Yeah, that's what I
Yeah, it came in the back of the first 80 I got when it came from Japan, along with a metric tape measure, like metric only.
Oh,
And
wow.
for some
Yeah,
reason,
sick.
that's still in my truck, like because I really need a metric only tape measure.
Yeah, my shovel came with like, I swear it's like the Prado or some weird shit. Yeah, it was the same thing.
I have like a 4-inch like webbing strap that's like 20 feet long and a shackle, and then I have I've never once used that strap, and then I have a kinetic rope and a soft shackle, and those I probably used them like 30 times in one day once.
No, really?
So yeah, the kinetic rope is so amazing in the snow. Like it's so
Yeah,
amazing.
the kinetic rope is definitely where it's at.
And
Being
honestly,
able to
the
like
soft
do that.
shackle is so good too.
Yeah,
Like it's so fast because you're also doing it continuously in the snow, and it's either like touch this like steel shackle and undo the pin
Drop the piece.
every
Yeah.
single fucking time, or literally just touch this rope and like pull it through itself. Yeah, it's literally a godsend.
I don't even think I've got front tow hooks on my truck.
I was just gonna say I gotta make some recovery points on my truck.
Very confident. Why?
Definitely not.
Diesel versus gas.
Isn't diesel always going to be better? I feel like everyone just wants diesel, like out of
There's
the gate.
pros
The
and
thing is,
cons.
it's so expensive to get into. So unless you get a deal, like you probably won't make it back, like plus, my truck's great for just like idling along trails and stuff like that. And that's kind of where it comes into its own. But then, it's not going to be flooring it down the highway with Gerard,
Yeah.
And whereas like Gerard's car, you probably want to bring some jerry cans.
I was gonna say there's like one trip where I was on where literally I was the only diesel guy. All of a sudden, like the road home is closed. We have to turn around, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it to the next gas station, and nobody else has diesel.
Yeah.
Like if I could, like everybody else in the crew of the other 4 cars all had a jerry can of gas.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, definitely. Because like, I don't know, usually when I'm on a trip, I'm maybe not the only diesel, but it usually ends up like somewhere on the trail, the gas trucks like will have to fill up, or we'll have to hit a gas station if we go in through a town, but I'll look and I'll be like, oh, I'm still over half a tank.
Yeah.
which then I'll still fill up because why not? I'm the only one not carrying a jerry can. But
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
have
I
a
mean, that's a
preposterously small gas tank, I should
Yeah.
mention. Yeah.
I definitely have a fuel economy problem in that truck. It's 400 horses and like what 7,000 pounds or whatever the hell it is. Like the shit drinks fuel. So like, yeah, I've never taken that particular truck on, say, like, I don't know, the Whipsaw or whatever, but I would 1000% be bringing extra fuel. But yeah, I mean, diesel has pros and cons. Like, I don't like diesel because it stinks, and like, I love the sound of diesel. I think it's like rad, but like, man, if I go up or down any sort of elevation behind these fucking guys, like, you're literally getting choked out. Like
Yeah.
diesel on Kevin's truck, holy fuck.
Yeah, I really wanted a diesel like Hilux Surf, but then I started looking at the prices and I was like, I can't afford this. I'll just eat the cost on.
There was
Petrol.
a time when you could get them from Japan, like almost same, like,
Yeah.
and that's when it made sense.
Maintenance is definitely more expensive on a diesel, that's for sure. Like everything costs more, like
Yeah,
the filters,
especially
and
like the more modern ones for sure too.
yeah.
Feels like the intervals are like maybe a little bit more spaced out, but
Do hate the gas mileage of my 4Runner, you guys. That's what I'm not about that.
So what do you guys think about trucks with 800 accessories on them?
Man, it's not my jam. Aesthetically, very displeasing.
Yeah. Select all, add to cart, man.
What do you mean, like 800 accessories, like light bars and like shovels, and then like the
Yeah, like a car, like you
exactly.
you're in bumper to bumper traffic commuting into Vancouver, and you see a Tacoma with ditch lights, an axe, roto packs, like
I mean,
fuel cans,
one thing I will say is like, I don't know, like if you're
zombie
commuting-
apocalypse stickers.
commuting in bumper to bumper traffic and you saw a Unimog or you saw like one of those man trucks, you'd be stoked. Honestly, I agree though. Like when I see that guy, I don't
Is
I
it
don't
like
have
ro-
any
is
of the-
it-
I don't
is
have
it
any of those
because-
feelings that I think I'm like, yeah, woo.
Is it because it's a Tacoma, or is it because he has all the shit? Let's take the coolest possible truck.
For me, it's all the shit. Why do you have all
It's
the
all the
shit?
shit. Like,
I think it's
because I
Like
think
take it off. You're not like, where are you going right now?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. Like, you don't need to carry axes around on the daily. Like, what are you chopping up like people? I don't know.
I feel like you can make
you went to a very
any
dark
truck
place
look cool.
very
Yeah.
quickly.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I feel like if it was my truck, like you see a QX56 and it has a bunch of that shit on it, it might be a little bit more interesting, but I still wouldn't like appreciate seeing jerry cans and axes and awnings and roto packs and max tracks on.
You know what? I'm going to catch a lot of shit for this, especially because when we used to go to SEMA, I refused to take photos of all like the 4x4 area. I'd never go up there because I wasn't about that. I was like, no, Dodo Logic is not about trucks. It's about cars.
So you don't
And I met
avoid
Eric.
that whole pavilion.
Yeah, I'd be like, fuck, what's upstairs for me? Nothing. And now I get made fun of from some of the guys that used to be on Dodo being like,
Yeah.
why do you care about trucks now? Here's the thing. If I see that in traffic because I don't know, I don't mind it. I'm like, oh man, that guy like clearly cares about something. He's into it. He's passionate about it, and he's driving home an aesthetic. Yeah, it's probably not the most functional thing, but I guess I don't mind it as much because it's like
well,
somebody would probably get mad at my Aristo for having white CR, like having white CR Kais on it and being like, why is he got that all the time? Where are you going? And it's like,
Why
it's
is this
just
car
what it is.
loud?
Yeah, and I don't care, man. He's fucking living his life. He's following his own dream, and he needs an axe to get there. So good for him.
Exactly.
An
Also,
accident
it
over
might
that
be
sticker.
a lady.
Yeah, his
So
name's Michael
now we're
Myers,
jumping
you
to
know.
conclusions.
You had a funny observation that probably shouldn't, like, won't make it to the podcast because
I'll be the judge of that.
The other day I was on a bike ride and I saw this dude trying out his overland tent that was on the back of his Tacoma outside of his apartment, and across the street was a dude living under a tarp, like with his shopping cart. And I was like, yo, do you think that homeless dude is just so choked that this dude has a fucking apartment, but then basically has a mobile apartment that he can just go anywhere with? And this guy's like regular tarp apartment isn't even as nice as this guy's mobile apartment.
But then you got to think at any level, are homeless people okay with camping to some degree? Yeah, it's like cool, man. So your recreation is to like
Do what I do every
Yeah,
day.
do what I do. Like, great. That seems. I mean, yeah, it is a little bit gloaty though. Yeah.
Well, it's not. It doesn't pack into a shopping cart. It packs into a Tacoma.
Yeah, it packs into like a $60,000 truck.
Yeah, exactly.
I think like when we see those Tacomas, it's kind of like that's like 40-50K worth of shit. And it's like you could do the exact same thing with fucking 5K worth of shit. But like obviously this dude wants to look like a certain way or be a
That's
certain
the
way.
LS Wise Fab dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's kind of what I mean. Yeah,
That's
it's
the
like,
one, you
there you
guys.
go.
That
Yeah.
is. That's what it is.
I mean, there's definitely like a group of people out there that like have all that shit. They use it every week.
Oh, yeah, for
whatever,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
Because they go all the time. They're trying to make it the best possible experience.
Because there are the dudes with the LS and the Wise Fab that fully fucking shred and like
Fully.
are
Yeah.
gnarly and like they do that every weekend and that's
Yeah.
what they do and that's obviously respectable and totally cool. And if you have the same truck, I mean, I remember it wasn't the other day, but it was a while ago. I was coming home and I see a Tacoma that like looks pretty gnarly and shit, and then I look closer, I'm like, motherfucking shocks are like through the bed, and I'm like, what the hell? And I'm like, yo, that's crazy. He had like like fully crazy links and like super long shocks with external dampers and like bump stops and stuff, and I'm like, whoa, like that's like a Tacoma, you know what I mean? And it looked cool too. It had like the wheels stuck out a bunch, but they were like something or others, like I don't know, it just like looked really cool and a lot different than your average.
So that's
Overland.
that's the Gerard of the wheeling world. And that guy's just driving around getting mad at all the other peasants.
One thing that's like hilarious that I will say is like you'll go to these places and there will be those overland dudes, but then there'll be like the most granola eating hippie in a Subaru Outback with a fucking canoe on the roof.
Yeah.
And
They're
a
in the
bike on the
exact-
back.
And a bike on the back,
Yeah.
and they're in the exact same place.
Yeah.
And like
And those guys have always been there,
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
like 15 years ago or
Yeah.
whatever, when I first started like going off road, you'd see like you drive 40-50 kilometers down a road to a hot spring or something that was like at the time, because there's no Instagram, it wasn't blown out.
Yeah. And you're like, yo, this trail's kind of gnarly.
Yeah, and then you get there and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
There's an Astro van and a Legacy wagon here.
Yeah.
You're like, what the
100%.
fuck? And you just
Yeah.
like wheeled there, air quotes, like with your buddies
Yeah.
and like Tacomas and shit.
Here's a question. Rise of Instagram, how has that affected wheeling? Because like it's obviously had an effect on the car scene. We've talked about it, but what is the effect that it's had on like the 4x4 scene?
It's blown out a lot of spots, that's for sure. Like,
yeah, for sure.
but yeah, I don't know. I'd say like a lot of the times, at least recently, yeah, Instagram's been shitty for social media has been shitty for that,
Yeah.
Has there been any
geotagging? That whole like tagging location
like,
is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, like I never geotag anything. Like if you want to learn like more about places and great places to go, like there's so much research you can do so easily, or you can make friend, like you just go 4x4ing with people and then they'll tell you spots, or they'll take you places. That's kind of how a lot of us figured it out before.
has there been any good that's come from social media in the truck scene?
I mean, like the car scene, at least for me, like you're able to find like all those people that have that exact same interest, or like the people that have those cool trucks out there that you like, like all these guys that we follow each other in the States, or there's a bunch of dudes that I follow in Japan that have really cool style. And yeah, I don't know, it's just kind of opened it up to find more friends that have the same kind of interests as you.
Feel like maybe back in the day you would have to build the truck, you'd have to explore local areas, meet people who know the spots, they tell you, you have to go try and find them. Then you go, maybe you don't find them, you're still exploring. Whereas now it's just like they're like, yo, this is the exact fucking latitude and longitude. You
Yeah,
plug it into your Gaia and fucking away you go, like there's like what there's not like a lot of like exploration in that, but I mean it's still fun once you get there, I guess. And
Yeah.
My God. All right. So what did we learn today?
trucks are cool.
Yeah.
yeah.
I guess at the end of the day, what I've learned is that the plight of the car guy and the 4x4, the wheeling guy, whatever you want to call it, is pretty much the same thing, right? Like it's like, it's an expensive game if you get into it. You actually don't maybe need as much as you think you do to get started, but you can quickly go down that rabbit hole. And social media has ruined parts of it, but maybe enhanced other parts of it.
Barriers of entry.
Barriers of entry are lower. Yeah. So it is the exact same. Everything that we're used to just wrapped up in a different package.
Yeah.
Perfect. All right. I think that, does anyone else have any like closing thoughts?
It's kind of like this.
Every time.
All right. Well, I think that settles it. Thank you everyone for listening to this episode of Serial Podcast 9.
Thanks for listening to Serial Podcast 9.